Hi, I'm Andrew Laird from RotoWire, and I'm here today to talk about a topic that a lot of people have brought up to me recently, and that's specifically how you make money on Sorare. If you are brand new to Sorare, I did 2 other videos kind of introducing the site, how you get involved in it. Those are both linked in the episode description below. This one is really more about how you make money on Sorare. Just a quick review, Sorare is a fantasy soccer game where you use digital cards to play. You purchase these digital cards and you can enter them into tournaments, which are free to enter, and then you can win either certain cash prizes or additional cards. So that all sounds very easy, but I think the big misconception is kind of what the payouts are like and what you can expect to win, but also kind of what the profit upside is. And I think what's really important to understand is fundamentally, the only 2 ways to make money on Sorare is either to place well in a contest or to sell cards. That's it. So you enter these tournaments with the goal of winning cards, but you can either use those cards in additional tournaments later on, or you can sell them. The proceeds from those cards are effectively what you can make playing Sorare. There are prizes for finishing highly in tournaments. It's exceptionally hard to hit those because there are so many people competing for only a few spots. So I have this chart that breaks down all the different tournaments that Sorare offers. And you can see that the number of entries is very high, particularly because they only specifically pay out in most of these tournaments to the top 3 spots. So in their Global All-Star Division 4, that one is a little bit different because they have a threshold payout for that one. That's the tournament I think most people focus on because of the additional payouts. But if you kind of look below, every other tournament really pays very, very few people in terms of actual dollar payouts. And they pay out in Ethereum. I'm going to use dollars for a lot of this video only because a lot of new people coming in are more familiar with dollars. They may invest in dollars to start and then get more comfortable with using Ethereum. But effectively, you are entering contests against upwards of 1,000 other people, and you have to beat you have to finish in the top 3, excuse me, in order to get these payouts. The payouts are solid. I kind of did this basic $1,800 to 1 ETH conversion just for an example. So you can win, a few $100s if you finish in the top 3. Looking at like the global U23 D4, there were just over 1,000 people entered in this game week that were just started, game week 152. But the top prize is $360. So you have to beat a lot of people to finish in the money in these tournaments. Obviously, there are fewer, as you go down the list, fewer entries, but the payouts are the same for all of the non-global all-star tournaments. So if you're trying to get in and say, I want to build or I want to buy cards that can compete for the top spots in these tournaments, just realize it's very, very hard to finish in the top 3 of these, particularly because almost all of them are seeing more entries every week. And as of today, which is March 19th, Sorare has not announced that they are definitely going to expand the rewards. And if they do, it may be more in terms of cards that are distributed. It's worth pointing out that many more than the top 3 win cards in these tournaments. And so that's really what brings me to the other side of how you can make money on Sorare. And that's particularly the selling of the cards. Before I get into that though, like I said, a lot of people enter the global D4 because if you hit a certain point threshold, you automatically will win something. And so you get 0.01 ETH if you finish with more than 205 points and 0.02 if you finish with more than 250. And a lot of people play that tournament specifically for that ETH's payout because you don't have to beat a certain number of people. You just have to beat a certain score. And 205 is a fairly low score to get. So I just wanted to add in this kind of little chart to give you an idea of how many game weeks you're going to have to break that threshold in order to pay off your initial investment. So if you were able to build a lineup that cost only $500, and I'll be completely honest that as of, like I said, March 19th, 2021, a $500 lineup is probably aggressively low for being able to consistently place in that above 205 or 250. But even if it's $1,000, in order to break even, meaning you win $1,000 worth of Ethereum, you have to place in the above 205 56 times, which is a little more than a year. 52 weeks in a year, obviously they do a lot of mid-game weeks, but my guess is that based on the lineups that are built there, it'll take about a year. But you can also hit the 0.02 threshold fairly regularly, and then that obviously cuts the time in half. One of the big things that people try to do is when they join Sorare is they want to buy cards of the players that are playing right now. And we're in March now. The European season is kind of winding down. Major League Soccer is starting up in a month. The J League and the K League just started their season. So it really depends on what cards you buy, because at some point somebody's going to be in the off season. And so you have to really make sure that the cards that you buy, if you want to play for right now, you have to know that the European players will be over soon. So it may be better to focus on Major League Soccer or the J League and K League in Japan and Korea, respectively, because you'll get an entire summer's worth. But it's just, I mean, that's another topic for another video, but it's important to recognize that in order to hit these thresholds consistently, you can't just take 5 players and play them every week of the year, because at some point they're going to be in the off season. So to the other side is how to make money is selling cards. And I don't think a lot of people appreciate that the actual selling of the card is how you make money. And so I really wanted to make this point because the question I get of how much money have you made on Sorare really depends on who you ask, because there are some people who don't like to sell cards at all, and there are others who sell every card that they get. And so you're going to get a very different opinion, even though it could be 2 people who have invested the same amount of money and kind of have the same similar goals of just accumulating as many either cards or ETH or dollars as possible. So I have this example here of the 3 kind of ways that you can look at how you make money, or at least how the cards are valued. So the example here, we have if you bought a card for 0.25 ETH on February 12th, on that date, Ethereum was trading at about 1769 spot 80, or at least when I checked it myself. It obviously trades differently throughout the day. But that gives you a dollar value on that card of $447.76. So if you come in and you purchase that card for $447, how are you going to realize a gain on that card? So it's possible that you can get a gain, a dollar gain on that card just by the way that Ethereum moves. And so if Ethereum goes up, then the value of your card theoretically goes up, even though the purchase price is the same. So I kind of tried to put that in this first chart here. And there's the Ethereum prices are hypotheticals. I just kind of filled them in for the purpose of this exercise. But you can see on February 17th, if there was a slight increase in Ethereum from February 12th, you effectively have an unrealized gain of $8. And then on the 25th, if it goes down, you have an unrealized loss. And it's important to note that as long as you're not selling, these are all unrealized gains or losses. I mean, this is very common to like a stock. If you buy a stock for $50 a share and it goes to 75, that's $25 of unrealized gain. Until you sell the stock is when you get your gain. So these cards work exactly the same. Until you actually sell your card, it's all unrealized hypothetical gains. So the next chart is the purchase price versus recent sales. And a lot of people kind of value their cards based on how other cards have sold recently. And not to say that's a bad way to do it, but just because one person was able to sell one card to one other person doesn't guarantee that there's another buyer out there for your card if you put it on the same price. But it at least gives us kind of a ballpark of where we're going. So, excuse me, we look at the same card, 0.25 ETH purchased on February 12th. And then on February 17th, someone buys a different card for 0.28 ETH. For this one example, I'm going to assume that the price of Ethereum stays constant. It definitely does not, but just to kind of show you exactly what new purchases can do to the presumed value of your card. So if you just go down the list, February 25th, another one goes for 0.295, February 28th, 0.310, and based off of that constant Ethereum price, the value of your card goes up. And that's kind of just fundamentally how everybody feels, as they own something and somebody else buys a similar one for a higher price, then surely I should be able to sell my card for more than I bought it for, which is generally true on Sorare. I'm not going to say that the prices go up all the time. We've actually seen some pretty significant dips in prices recently, at least for the leagues that are ending. Major League Soccer prices have been increasing as that season is about to start up. But effectively, if the purchase price of your card is lower than what the current cards are trading for, then you probably would realize a gain if you sold it. But again, you only get that gain if you sell your card. Excuse me. So this last chart is trying to combine those 2 points. So their cards are constantly trading, and the price of Ethereum is constantly changing. And so you have to kind of build those two things together in terms of where the value of your card is. So if you buy your card for 0.25 ETH, 253 ETH on February 12th, and on February 17th somebody sells their card for 0.28, and the price of Ethereum is up, then you have a pretty good gain. And you can see that the gains on this chart are much higher because I'm kind of assuming that the price of the cards are going up and Ethereum is going up and down. But effectively, this is what you want. You want your the subsequent sales of cards like yours to be higher than what you bought them for, because ideally, if you can then post your card for sale, you're going to get more than you paid for. So we have to also think about how you view the gains. So there are a lot of people who have come in recently only really look at the dollar value of their cards instead of their value in Ethereum. And that doesn't, I'm not saying they're wrong. There's people who only look at Ethereum and don't really look at the dollar value, but it's important to realize what the difference is and possibly to explain why certain cards are trading for either a little more or a little less than they did. So using this February 12th example again, if you bought the card for 0.253, assuming this 1769 spot 80 dollars to 1 Ethereum, which is the price that we used earlier, your purchase price is $447.76. If you sell that card for 0.255 on February 25th, when the price of Ethereum may have dropped, you actually have a gain in Ethereum, but you have a loss in dollars. So if you're somebody who is just trying to accumulate as much ETH as possible, then this is a gain for you. But if you're looking at it from a dollar perspective, then obviously that's a loss. And this can work the other way as well. If you have that same purchase price and the price of Ethereum goes up, maybe you're willing to sell it for less ETH than you bought it for because you're actually realizing a dollar gain. So we see this example here. If ETH goes from 1769 to 1981, then maybe you can sell your card for 0.06 ETH, 0.006 ETH less, because if dollar value is all you care about, then you're making a $41 profit, even though you have that ETH loss. Ideally, you get both though. Ideally, you sell your card for more ETH than you paid for it, and the price of Ethereum is going up, so you recognize a significantly bigger gain there. But really, what the whole point of all of this is that you're not realizing a gain until you sell your cards. And so whether you get a card because you got it for free when you used a referral code and you won your 5 auctions, if you're interested in that, there's a link below that'll get you that. But whether you get that free card and you put it up for sale or you decide to keep it, you just have to realize that you're not making any money on Sorare with cards until you sell them. And so some people don't want to sell, and that's perfectly fine. And that's kind of the question that I get is like, well, how much money have you made on Sorare? A lot of people come from the DFS side of things where you kind of realize your gains right away, ideally gains. And Sorare is kind of a longer term thing if you want it to be. If not, you can sell your cards right away and you say, yes, I got this card for free and I sold it for $200, or I bought this card for $100 and I sold it for $200. It's not until you sell your cards that you're really recognizing a profit on these things. And so there are plenty of ways to accumulate cards in this game, but there's no way to actually profit from them until you sell them. And so I think that's just the point that we have to make clear to people, because winning Ethereum in the game, other than the global all-star D4 threshold, is very difficult. You just have to beat a lot of people to get a few $100s. Like, you may not even get your money back with one, they call it a podium finish. And so, whatever your timeline is really what's going to determine how much money you make. If you want to buy, a Kylian Mbappe card right now and keep it for another 20 years, that's fine, and the value may go up, but you're not actually making any money on that until you sell that card in 20 years. So just something to think about, because a lot of people have been asking me kind of how much money you can make on Sorare. And there are plenty of people who do make a lot of money, but most of it is from selling cards, whether they win those cards, whether they get a referral card, or whether they're buying a card for X amount and they're selling it for 2X. It's the selling of that card that really gives you the profit from Sorare. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. You can also find me on Twitter at RotoWire Andrew. I'm also in the Sorare Discord at Andrew M. Laird. Always available to chat. Happy to help anyone who is looking to get started. Like I said, there are 2 intro videos that are linked below, one of which is kind of a foundation of what Sorare is. Another one is kind of how to get started, which gives an idea of kind of some of the budgets that may be necessary to get in. This is not a cheap game yet, but it is getting cheaper as we've seen from the last few weeks. So feel free to check that out. Again, there's a referral code down below. If you use that code and buy and win 5 auctions, you will win an additional rare card. I will get one as well, so feel free to use that. So thank you for that, and if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out, and good luck out there.